Going to the showdown. Is that the song? I can't remember. I know it's going to the showdown. I don't know if those are the lyrics. Welcome, huge movie fanatic Nate, stopping on by. This time I'm coming at you to review a movie that I've seen I saw a while ago, but I recently rewatched it not having seen it for a long time. Recently rewatched it on Tubi, I think. And actually, my history with this movie goes all the way back to I think it's the late 90s when like Elite Entertainment was putting it out on VHS, and they did put out a Laserdisc. I've got the Elite Entertainment VHS and Laserdisc of this movie. So I think I first saw this when it was being like, you know, put out in the mid to late 90s with new, you know, widescreen, new transfer. And I think that was the only reason this movie crossed my radar. Stopping on by to review the William Lustig quote-unquote classic by the name of Maniac. This movie, Keith, you know, my buddy Keith, I think likes a lot more than I do. I can't remember if I might have introduced him to it. I don't quote me. I'm not 100% sure, but because I probably first got the Elite VHS, you know, widescreen, the new transfer back in the mid to late 90s, and then I got the Laserdisc as well, which got the commentary, you know, one of the first commentaries with Tom Savini, William Lustig, and someone else or whatever. I don't know if this is William Lustig's first movie, but it's definitely one of his first movies. He'd go on to do the relatively successful Maniac cop films. The first two I think are amazing. The third, I like it for sentimental reasons, but and other reasons, not so much else. But Maniac Cop 1 and 2 I actually really like, and I don't think I've seen a lot of other William Lustig movies. I know he did that like one with Uncle Sam or whatever it's called and things, but this is an early William Lustig movie, which is, you know, stars the late, I won't really say, I'm not a big fan, so I won't say great, though I guess I did. Stars Joe Spinell, who was a kind of a character actor. He appeared in the first two Godfather movies, in addition to like this movie over here and that movie. He's in Star Crash, I think, and you know, Joe Spinell is a face from the 70s, and Taxi Driver. He's got a little bit part on Taxi Driver, so he's a face from the 70s that is, you know, more or less recognizable. He's never been a huge guy, and I don't know if this is like the only movie that he's like the main billing in or whatever, but yeah, honestly, yeah, well, I think that the casting for, you know, Joe Spinell for this movie is actually perfect, and I think he's one of the producers as well, or one of the executive producers. And at the time I was, you know, even when I got the tape and the Laserdisc, I was like never 100% on board with it, because it's just, and I guess it's a credit to the movie and the people, you know, William Lustig and Joe Spinell and Tom Savini and everyone involved in making the movie, that it's just so realistically grimy and nasty that not very appealing to me, and me not being a city guy, you know, especially like late 70s, early 80s, frickin' sleazeball New York, you know, it doesn't really appeal to me or whatever. But I did appreciate like the Tom Savini effects and things, and that's probably the main reason I got the tape and the Laserdisc. I'm just wondering if I probably would have rented the Laserdisc, is probably how I first would have seen this. I can't remember how I first seen this, or did I get the, you know, one of the original VHS tapes? I can't frickin' remember. It's basically, in short, I'll just say it's basically about Joe Spinell plays this serial killer, basically, who I guess we can only assume had an abusive mom. I think he's supposed to have had an abusive mom, and that's why he's a serial killer now. Honestly, I will say, I think like the best part of the movie that I actually really enjoyed when I rewatched it, and I hadn't seen this movie for probably a decade or more, maybe 10, 15 years, maybe even more. So rewatching it was kind of interesting through older eyes. And I think the best part of the movie is when he wakes up. You know, he's like, ah! He's like, I think that's like the best part of the movie. And just how you got the little Batman bit on the eyes there and stuff. So he's basically just, oh man, how it goes from like, you know, killing the couple and the fluttering feet to just like, ah! Yeah, I just thought that was just really great, you know. And oh, Jay Chataway does the music. He'd go on to do the Maniac Cop music as well and stuff. So that's kind of cool. Yeah, early William Lustig, early Jay Chataway, and I want to say, well, kind of, you know, more or less early Tom Savini. And I want to say the decapitated, like, Mrs. Voorhees' neck was used in this at the end of it, like when the neck pops up with blood spurting out. I think that's Mrs. Voorhees' neck, which is kind of cool. If I'm correct, that's kind of cool, and if I'm incorrect, it's nothing. Yeah, so it's basically a movie about not much. It's just Joe Spinell being the serial killer, and he's just compelled to go out. And I'm not being a serial killer myself. I don't know why he does this stuff, but I guess he's just probably more or less compelled to do this stuff. Go out and kill people, and the women, you know, he brings, he actually scalps the women and brings back a new mannequin. They don't say where the hell he gets these mannequins. Brings back a new mannequin, and I think puts the victim woman's clothes on the mannequin and then nails the scalp, you know, and the hair to it, which is just so freaking creepy. And like I say, I mean, yeah, you know, the thing that's scary about this movie is I think this is a Joe Spinell quote, is that people like this actually exist, which is, oh my God. So, and that's pretty much the movie. Oh yeah, and that one chick who had a part in a James Bond movie, and she was also in Star Crash, Caroline Murno, whatever the hell her name is, kind of sexy woman. She's in this movie as well as like a photographer, and it's just so weird. And actually, it's something I like about this movie. One of the things I like most about this movie is how Joe Spinell kind of just woos this woman, and it's kind of like unrealistic and kind of creepy at the same time. Like, okay, so he's this, you know, the first, I don't know, first 30 minutes of this movie, we just see this guy being a creeper and a killer and scalper, and, you know, he's probably got some sexual whatever. I think he, you know, maybe after the women are dead, he, who knows what, if you know what I'm saying. And so it was just kind of really an interesting shift in the movie, that all of a sudden now he's like, can just woo this kind of, you know, model photographer woman or whatever, and that, you know, we'll just say, I think she escapes, correct? Yeah, she escapes, but he turns on her towards the end of the movie and wants to like kill her or whatever. But it's kind of an interesting part of the movie where he's just like, you know, going around town and going out with this woman or whatever, and it's just like kind of, you didn't expect it, you know, with the way the first 30 minutes of this movie was and things. So it's just kind of, I don't know if it's, I mean, I kind of think it's cool and kind of think it's lame at the same time, but whatever. I mean, they probably just knew this Caroline, whatever the hell her last name is, and they just put her in the movie, and maybe they thought, well, this might not necessarily be realistic, but, you know, this guy can, you know, woo her. I mean, I'm not saying it's like a romantic relationship, but he can come into her life and be this whatever character, and he can just play the role of like a big shot, and just kind of an interesting other aspect to this serial killer guy, when it can make the viewer potentially like uncomfortable, and it kind of does, like, Jesus, what's going on? And he does go to like a photo shoot where he picks up this one model's necklace, and then he's able to bring it back to, I don't know how he knows where she lives, but bring it to her apartment, and like, here, give you the necklace, and then, you know, very stealthily, you know, push in the lock thing, so when she goes to take a bath, he can sneak in and kill her and scalp her. And yeah, so I guess the reason, you know, I guess the reason I don't like this movie is because I guess it is so close to just reality, you know, like movies like this and Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer, you know, they're, because it's not like Freddy and Jason or Chucky or Pinhead or Leatherface, like, it's more plausible, it's just more creepy to watch. So I guess I'd probably watch Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer more than I'd want to watch this, because there's, at least like with Otis and stuff, there's like humor. But I mean, I don't think there's any, I'm not saying every movie needs humor, but I don't think there's any humor in this. It's just like, it's depressing, dark, dank, whatever. But I mean, to the, you know, everyone involved who made its credit, I guess. If I didn't already mention it, Tom Savini does like the gore effects, and he's even got like this fake head of himself that he gets blown up. And from what I understand, because back in the day in the Laserdisc, I listened to the commentary, and I think they actually shoot, you know, the fake head full of whatever, you know, frickin' all kinds of stuff. For real, through the windshield with a real shotgun. Like, that's actually just shot with the shotgun through the windshield. Like that, honestly, I probably would have possibly saved that for a little bit later in the movie, but that's probably one of the, like, the, you know, Tom Savini plays this guy who picks this woman up, and they get into the back seat for Hanky Panky or whatever, and Joe Spinell, you know, character is creeping around outside, and he just, that scene is pretty epic, though. I mean, I think that's why I more or less bought it, is back in, I wish I could remember. I can only assume I rented the Laserdisc to see it for the first time. I don't remember, but yeah, that scene where he climbs up on the hood and just blasts Tom Savini's head to pieces. It's just like, and then the blood splatters on the woman. She's sitting next to him in the passenger seat, and just the, like, the slow-mo and that, like, reverb, like, ah, it's just, oh my god. I don't know if you can get much nastier and just dingier and gross than this movie. It's like, oh my god. And, you know, I was surprised because, like, the rating on, if it's IMDb or whatever, I think this movie is sitting at, like, at least 7 out of 10 stars, which I couldn't believe at all. Like, this movie is such nasty crap, but maybe that's a, you know, a scary sign of the people that exist in this world. I don't know why I never really got on board with this movie per se. Like I say, just the nasty, dirty, grimy, grungy. See, the reason I like the Friday the 13th movies so much is because, for the most part, those movies just take place in environments that I love. You know, woods, country, got, you know, hot chicks and sometimes topless, sometimes, you know, bikinis, sometimes whatever. And, you know, Harry Manfredini music, and there's just so many things. Also just sentimentality and nostalgia. But a movie like this, you know, there's people out there who probably love grungy 70s, 80s New York as much as I love the country. I can't see how, but I suppose it's possible. So there's probably people out there who love this movie as much as I love Friday the 13th, which there's no way I could ever get my mind around that, but to each their own. My star rating, so that's Maniac, and it's kind of like a little, well, this is right around the same time as Don't Go in the House. The ending of it is kind of similar, because he collects, you know, as he kills the women, he collects more of the mannequins with their clothes on and their scalps with a little bit of their hair. So it's kind of, I do like how it ends, where it's kind of like the women, his victim women gang up on him or whatever, and kind of suicide or whatever. But there's that one scene with that one woman in the bathroom that just, oh my god, talk about time killer. They just drag on and on and on and on. But for grunge and nastiness and just depravity and stuff, this movie, it definitely achieves that, if that's what it was setting out to achieve. My star rating for Maniac would be oh god, this is probably higher than I'd want to give it, but I think, see, because I can be like this with movies like that I don't necessarily like, but I can appreciate what they accomplished. So I think this is an interesting situation where I don't think it deserves this, but I'm going to give it this because I think what it achieved is in some way, I don't know how, commendable. That, you know, it was some kind of accomplishment to achieve the level of sleaze that it did. So I can go as high as 2 stars out of 4 stars for Maniac. Normally it'd be like maybe 1.5 or whatever, but because that grunge sleaze, just the sleazometer is just so up there, and you know, it can't be that easy to achieve that. I don't know. It just seems like there's got to be some kind of talent involved and in achieving such a sleaze factor as this movie does. So I'll give it 2 stars out of 4 stars. I know that there's a frickin' remake. I've never seen that. I think that might be on Tubi as well. But yeah, those are my thoughts on Maniac, and feel free to let me know what you think of the movie in the comments. It'll be interesting to see if people, you know, if there's some of the people that give it 7 out of 10 stars. It's just like, holy crap. I couldn't believe that this movie's got like a 7 out of 10 star overall rating. That's insane. But to each their own, I guess. Thanks so much for watching this review. Hope you guys enjoyed. And as always, we'll catch you on the next video.